But it's guaranteed for one thing. If you don't try, you're not going to win. If you don't try, you're definitely not going to become successful. So for me, it was always make sure you increase your odds of winning.
This show spans global markets and institutional investments through conversations with some of the world's leading investment, economic, and philanthropic minds. Welcome to the FEG Insight Bridge. In this special episode of the FEG Insight Bridge, recorded in connection with our FEG Hockey Classic, I'm joined by NHL Hall of Famer Jeremy Roenick. He's one of the most dynamic and recognizable players of his era. Jeremy enjoyed a remarkable career, spanning multiple decades, highlighted by over 500 goals and standout tenures with iconic franchises like Chicago and Philadelphia. Known for his grit, skill, and larger-than-life personality, Jeremy brought intensity and joy to the game and remains one of hockey's most engaging ambassadors. In our conversation, we trace Jeremy's journey from his early love of the game and the sacrifices his family made to support the development through the defining moments of high school, NHL, and even the Olympics. We also explore the mindset that made him not just a fierce competitor, but a fan favorite and enduring personality in the sport. Touching on everything from locker room stories and legendary teammates to how he balanced the pressure of professional hockey with a sense of fun. It's a wide-ranging and personal discussion with one of the game's all-time true characters. Jeremy, welcome to the FEG Insight Bridge.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's good to be in Cincinnati, too. I've only been here one time. I actually came for a Rufus to Soul concert a couple of years ago, but it's a huge city because my mom was born here. So,
that's great.
Yeah, when I landed, I said to my mom, my texter says, "Hey, I'm in the city of your birthplace." And she goes, "Oh, enjoy."
Well, we got to get you some Skyline chili before you go. That's the thing.
I don't know. I don't know if I can go against Chelly with Chelly's chili, but
Chelly's chili. Yeah.
But I'll do some comparison.
All
I'm
right,
sure it's great.
We'll make sure that happens. Hey, speaking of your mom, I wanted to talk about how you got into hockey. I mean, you were on the ice pretty early. How did that all start?
Yeah, I was young. I was living in Connecticut at the time. My dad worked for Mobil Oil, so we kind of moved around quite often when I was a kid. At the time, we were living in a town called Seymour, Connecticut, which is pretty close to Hartford. I was 3.5 years old, and the little boy that lived in the apartment next to me was kind of my playmate, and our moms would come, hang out, and then we would play together. We were good buddies, and one day his mom came and says, "Hey, we're putting little Johnny into the Learn to Skate program. Would you mind bringing Jeremy with him? Because if he does it by himself, he's probably not going to like it. He's probably going to hate it and leave. If he has a buddy, he'll probably like it." Well, my mom said, "Sure." Went and got a football helmet, a pair of double runner blades, and didn't know anything about hockey or skating. But we went, and I jumped on the ice, and it was almost impossible to get me off. I remember the second time I was on the ice, my mom had to go onto the ice to get me to come off because I didn't want to come off. Yeah, running around, shoes or sneakers on the ice trying to get me to come off, and it was just love at first sight.
And you guys moved around a bit, so like you were like playing all up the East Coast.
I did. Until I was 13, I lived in 8 different towns, a couple places, 3 different places in Connecticut. Lived in Rochester, lived in Massachusetts, lived in Texas for a quick hot minute while my dad did some stuff in Texas, and then moved down to Virginia also. So it was definitely a way for me to really adjust to different places, adjust to meeting new friends, being very social, having that ability to to blend into a new environment. And I learned to do that at a young age, for sure. One
crazy story I heard, you were in Northern Virginia and you were flying to New Jersey once a week?
Yeah, I was in 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade. And I got invited to play for the New Jersey Rockets, which is a big AAA team up in New Jersey, expecting one of the best teams in the nation. And it was being in Virginia, the hockey is good, but not as competitive as it was up north.
Yeah.
So we said yes. So literally every Friday, my mom would pick me up at 1:00 from school, and would take me to Dulles Airport and literally drop me off on the curb. And I'm 13 years old I think at the time, 12, 13, and I had to maneuver my way into Dulles Airport and get on a People's Express airline. smokers in the back and all sorts of different things back then. You can smoke, and I would sit in the back of the plane and do some homework that I had of the school that I missed. Would fly up to Jersey, and a family that I'd stay with would pick me up, and either we would play at home and practice. I'd have 3 or 4 games of the weekend and fly back and do it all again next week. And it paid off. Our team won 2 back-to-back national championships as New Jersey Rockets, and but it was an experience. Like it really taught me how to be, again, durable, and to, learn how to travel and travel by myself. But to have that experience of playing the highest level hockey at that age, I think probably was my biggest propeller to becoming a pro.
Oh my gosh. So I'm a hockey dad. We spent a lot of weekends, driving to ice rinks 4 or 5 hours. So shout out to the parents. You mentioned your mom.
Big time.
But I've never had to put them on a plane every week. So that's even more incredible.
The things you got to do, right? And I guess you have to have trust in your kid. Obviously, you have to raise them the right way. But sometimes you have to throw them out into the world and not be afraid of sometimes the circumstances. And listen, back in the early 80s, it was a lot different world than today. I probably wouldn't suggest it too much today, especially with all the problems that are happening in the airline industry right now. But I definitely feel that the world is the best place to teach and motivate. And that's my parents were not afraid to throw me right in the mix.
From that, you end up at Thayer Academy. Mm-hmm. That was a pretty good team.
We were a great team. And I got a lot of offers to go play in junior. I got an offer from Wayne Gretzky to go play in Hull. I said no to that. I got an offer to go out and play in Portland with the Western League. I said no to that. My mom just did not want me to leave for school. And that even included going to a prep school, because I had a lot of prep schools that wanted me to come, which are boarding schools. Yeah. But my mom was like, no, we want you to stay home. So when we moved back to Boston, my dad gave up a 6-figure paying job in Virginia to move back up to Boston so that I can play a high-level high school hockey in a day prep school outside of Boston, which you said Thayer Academy. But where I met Tony Amonte, who was my line mate. And
he played with you at the Blackhawks?
Well, I played with him as a young kid, right? We played against each other. Yeah. We played together in Thayer. He was my right winger. He was a lefty, but played right wing. And we crushed the league. And we crushed the ISL league. We won 2 New England prep championships, lost in the 3rd one. So we were a dynamite team. And then you said, Tony went on to go to BU. Olympic team with me, and played with me in Chicago. Also played with me in Philly. I don't think there's a high school duo in history that has had as much success in the National Hockey League together as Tony Amonte and I did.
That's pretty incredible. At what point did you realize that you might go to the NHL when you were in high school?
I didn't. Not when I was in high school.
Yeah,
I didn't realize or have that thought until my 2nd year pro, actually.
You're like, wait a minute, I'm a pro.
No, if you think that, then you have some problems. You always have to be on your guard. Obviously, when scouts are in the stands and scouts are watching you, because back then when Tony and I were playing at Thayer, every single game that we played every Friday and Saturday or Wednesday, the rink was jam-packed with all different kinds of scouts, and they were coming to watch Tony and I. So you when you get that attention, you say, hey, there could be something pretty cool happening here. But again, it's always that question, can I handle this? Can I handle that? I was a small kid. When I got drafted in 1988, I was 150 pounds. So, here I am playing 3 years of high school hockey at a very small stature, but of major talent. But just goes to show you that it's not so much what you look like; it's what's inside of you that drives you as an athlete or as a person. Sometimes if you have that will and you have that dedication and you refuse to lose kind of mentality, good things can happen. But I really didn't think about it. I didn't feel comfortable until my 2nd or 3rd year pro, where I'm like, okay, I made it.
So you're 18, 19 years old. You get drafted.
18.
What was your kind of welcome to the league rookie moment for you?
Man, I always talk about my first 24 hours as a professional athlete, as a NHLer. My whole summer of being drafted was a crazy summer for me, because I finished my junior year in June of '88. I got drafted June 20th, 8th overall. So here I am, just turned 18, just finished my junior year of high school, and now I'm drafted by the Blackhawks, 8th overall, as a high school kid, as a small high school kid, which is unheard of back in the 80s. The NHL just didn't draft that.
And an American kid,
and
too.
an American kid,
Yeah.
right? It just didn't happen. So here I am now trying to negotiate with the Blackhawks, and they're offering me a very small salary, $95,000 with a $50,000 signing bonus, and we're just not accepting that. But now I'm in this dilemma. I can't go back to high school because I got to go to. I have a team wanting me to come play professional. If I go back to high school, I'm not going to increase as a player. It's only going to decrease my talents. Or if I get hurt, there's a lot of things that could come into play going back to school. So I talked to our headmaster. He gave me the ability to take summer classes at Boston College, and I got my entire senior year's credits worth of schooling, and I graduated September 1st. But now I'm in that situation. I graduate from high school September 1st. Blackhawks camp is just starting, and I don't have any place to go to do because I'm saying no to a contract. I was very fortunate. I was the highest touted high school guy coming out of prep school, but everybody wasn't expecting me for another year. But BC said, we'll take you now and we'll bring you in. So I'm like, okay, great. I move into BC. Everything's great. We're having a blast. I'm going to a couple parties. Monday morning comes. I have my book bag. I'm ready to start school. I'm really excited to be a BC Eagle. And I go into my first class, and it's a big 50-seat amphitheater. And I sit right on the staircase, and the teacher comes in and says, welcome to Brain Surgery 101. I don't even know what this class was. And teacher says, I'm going to pass out the syllabus. And I'm like, what's a syllabus? I never heard the word before. Asked the girl next to me, hey, we're not getting tested like the first day. I don't know. No, I should be in high school. shouldn't even be here. So why am I getting tested? No, it's the requirements for the course. I'm like, oh, okay. Thing comes about the size of a book. And I'm leafing through this thing. I'm like, no. Absolutely not. This is not for me.
3 hours of reading a night.
Yeah. Test, paper, midterm, final. I'm like, I'm out of here. I left my books.
Yeah.
I stood up, walked right out of the class. I'm telling you, no word of a lie. It was 5 minutes into the first class. I walked out. I walked across the little quad area outside the dorm, and I put a quarter in the payphone. Remember, this is the 80s, right? So I put a quarter in the payphone, called my lawyer, and I said, hey, Neil, have you talked to Chicago today? Are they offering anything more? Because I thought maybe they'd offer me more, knowing that I just enrolled in college. My age, he goes, nope, same, 95, $50,000 signing bonus. I said, let's sign it. Let's go play pro. He's like, what are you talking about? We've been saying no to this contract for 3 months. Now you want to go? I said, Neil, I didn't know 3 months what a syllabus was. He goes, my dad's making 85. They just offered me 95. I'm 18. I win. Let's go play. So literally the next day, so I leave that night. I take all my stuff. I get out of BC. Next morning, I'm on a flight to Chicago. I walk into Chicago. The trainers think I'm the stick boy for the day. I'm 150 pounds. I didn't look like a hockey player. But everybody's excited that the number one pick is coming in. I didn't look anything like a hockey player. I literally looked like I should be a freshman in high school. And I walk into the Chicago Blackhawks locker room, into the changing room. And as I turned the corner in the changing room, I turned and saw Al Secord.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a beast of a man, one of the toughest players of all time. And at the time, the last person to score 50 goals for the Blackhawks. But I turned and saw him standing there naked.
A man.
The scariest thing I've ever seen in my life at 18 years old. I've never in 18 saw a naked man of this stature with just muscles on top of muscles and hair all over him, receding hairline, cut stitches on his chin, no teeth, beard. I'm like, what did I just do to myself? And that's when I really got scared because, I mean, I've said this to Al too. I said he literally looked like he should be in prison, not playing in a game, in a hockey game.
Well, it was the 80s in the NHL.
Some of those guys they're all looking mean. They don't nowadays. Everybody looks like they're in high school, right? They can't even grow beards. Back then, all of them looked like felons. But I got my nerve and actually went on the ice, scored 3 goals in the first scrimmage of my first shift of my first game. I two-handed Rick Vive across the chest because he slashed me in a game. I was one of those crazy possessed people. Everybody was like, "Wow, this guy's a little screws loose." But that was my first kind of 24 hours into
You didn't have
pro.
like a teddy bear coach either. You had
No.
Iron Mike.
No, well, Mike Keenan was the Iron Mike, and he
Yeah.
was an iron. He ruled with an iron fist. His mentality was he never wanted people to be comfortable in the locker room because comfort leads to complacency, right? If you're complacent, you're not going to play hard. He always wanted everybody to be on edge. He wanted everybody to be mad all the time. So what he would do, he'd yell at people, he'd challenge people. It was a very difficult environment to play in. I didn't know any better, really, but my high school coach was a very, very strict, very loud coach. So for me, that didn't bother me. Yeah. But one thing that my high school coach wouldn't do is grab me around the throat on the bench and literally threaten my entire NHL career and whether I was going to hit somebody. And that's exactly what Mike Keenan did in my first preseason game against against Minnesota North Stars in Kalamazoo. He literally came down the bench and grabbed me around my throat because I would never hit anybody. I was only 150, 55 pounds this time. And Keenan's like, if you don't hit, obviously with just a slew of F-bombs and swears and insults, made me go out and become a human torpedo. Said, if you're not going to hit somebody, you'll never play for me. You'll never play in the league as long as I'm coach. And he put football pads on me, and I used my speed to make up for, my velocity for the lack of weight and power that I had. And I started hitting everything in sight.
You crushing people.
I crushed people. And what I found was I really liked it. I realized that it was something I enjoyed. It felt great. It gave me a really big upper hand on defensemen in playing that. They didn't know what I was going to do. And the great thing is the fans loved it. Every time I did it, the fans went crazy, and the accolades would come in because I could score goals. I could make good plays. I could hit you really hard and hurt you. So it became that multi-dynamic kind of three forces that I kind of stood behind.
Kinda
That
like
became my reputation and my
Gordie
image.
Howe hat trick.
I had many of those. Yep. I probably had four or five of those in my career. So, but it's it was scary.
Yeah.
Again, we talk about this, with fear, and how fear could be your best friend or it can be your biggest enemy. And for me, it was always my best friend because I never let it stop me from trying something. I never let fear stop my ability to try something. And I found a lot of times that one, I would be successful, but two, I liked it. And understanding that the losses is okay because everybody's going to lose.
Yeah.
The pain was something you had to deal with, right? The pain was obviously the fear that is the biggest fear of everything, is the fear of feeling actual pain.
Yeah.
Never have the fear of losing or not being successful. But fearing pain is a different story. I also got to understand that and learn that the pain goes away, but the pride that you take in yourself and the pride that other people look at you, that will last forever. So it was kind of become my glory phrase, right? Pain is temporary, pride is forever.
Yep.
And it's actually a good way to think about when you deal in a sports world. I mean, you're not going to feel too much pain in the business world. It's more emotional pain and emotional agony, but still the fear of not being successful is something that or losing. That's a scary pain.
When you lose people's money, it's not a good thing.
No,
right?
it's not a good thing.
But it's emotional pain, or any kind of pain is you almost kind of, it can drive you, but it's hard.
But it's guaranteed for one thing: if you don't try, you're not going to win.
That's right.
If you don't try, you're definitely not going to become successful.
That's right.
For me, it was always make sure you increase your odds of winning.
So you pretty much got better every year. You were with Chicago big steps those first few years, and I know you've been asked this before, but because I just remember you're in the NHL, I'm in college at the same time, and I'm playing like Sega
94,
NHL 94, right?
Yep.
Like I'm like, was that a glitch? How was your?
That's what they called me, the glitch. That was my nickname. And it is actually probably one of my claim to fame. I get more people that talk to me about Sega 94 than any of the accolades that I ever did in the National Hockey League. I was
probably some people who didn't even watch hockey who were just playing, just gamers.
It was a worldwide phenom, actually. And I think I know I was ranked in the top 3 of the best video gamers of all time.
Bo Jackson.
Behind Bo Jackson, behind Mike Tyson.
Michael Vick was the other one, right? Like
Michael Vick was another one. So, but people would come up to me and be like, I got through college, playing the Blackhawks. You can never lose. Every time JR touched the puck, he'd score. Wrap around, spin around a top shelf, and Vince Vaughn put it in his movie Swingers in 1996, which became pretty cool pop culture. And I actually watched the movie. I didn't even know it was going to happen to me, and all of a sudden I said, "Oh, Roenick, he's good." Make Gretzky's head bleed. It was it was a really cool kind of thing. But what I came to find out is when the creators were making the game, the guy who was responsible for creating my character hit the wrong button on the.
He wasn't just a Blackhawks fan. He
might have purposely missed it, but I was the only 99.9% player rated player in the history of gaming, and so because of that misstep of a program, they called me the glitch.
So after Chicago, you go to Philly. Was that the best team you were on? That was a good team.
It was a great team. I mean, 92 was great. We went to the final. We lost to the Pittsburgh Penguins in the finals. We won 11 straight in the playoffs and getting to the final. That was an amazing team. But in terms of talent and toughness, the 2004 Flyer team was without question the best team that I was ever on. In a total full realm of a team. If you look at some of the players on that team, John LeClaire, Mark Recchi, Simone Gagne, myself, Desjardins, Keith Primo, Justin Williams, Mr. Game 7. There's a lot of great players that were on that team. And then at the trade deadline, we end up getting Tony Amonte, who was my guy. We got Alex Jamnoff, who I got traded for in Chicago, who was an unbelievable player. We got 2 unbelievable defensemen on the back end. Malakoff was one of them, and I can't think of the other guy, but he was just a crazy, crazy Russian defenseman. The problem was we rolled through the playoffs, and then we started getting the injury bug. If we didn't get the injury bug in 2004, we win the Stanley Cup without question. We lost in the conference finals to Tampa in 7 games. But that was for sure the best team that I've ever been on, and with the exception of the Olympic team, because that's pretty much an all-star team in 2002. But also 2008, 2009 Sharks was an amazing team with Patrick Marleau, Joe Thornton, myself, Chloe, McCullochs. It was that was another monster team where we just blew through the regular season and found a way to screw it up in round 1.
Playoffs are hard. I mean, I think of, you've played it on a lot of teams, but Chicago and Philly, I mean, you kind of have a blue collar game. That's a blue collar fan base.
Amazing, especially Philly.
They probably loved you there.
I have a relationship with Philly fans that is really unique. I was only there for 3 actual playing years, but I think when they saw me come there in my press conference, I signed a really cool contract, and I hugged the owner. And one of the questions from the media is, are you nervous to play in front of some of the toughest sports media in the country? Because if you're not, I said, absolutely not. They should be actually more afraid of, reporting on me than me playing in front of them. And I think the fans, because the first game I came in and, had a goal, assist, and a fight, had a Gordie Howe hat trick in the first game. And, for me, Philly fans cheered and they're passionate about the game like I played the game, right? So you're always going to get the best from a Flyer fan, not just a Flyer fan, a Philly fan. If you give 100%,
they like hustle.
Yeah, they like hustle. There's no excuses. You play through pain. You play a Philly mentality, and I did that game in and game out. And there's not a place that I don't go. I mean, this morning coming here on the plane, people from Philly, hey, loved it. We love you in Philly. It never ends. So it's really cool to have great fans, especially fans when you weren't there for very long, because that means that you really made a statement.
Yeah, it made a lasting impression. So then you go to Phoenix, and you're at Phoenix twice, but you're there. You're with Keith Big Walt Kachuk,
Big Walt.
And you mentioned the Olympics. I mean, his kids were probably, those little kids.
Babies.
Yeah, babies. Like, how
Well,
cool.
they weren't even born yet
They
when
weren't
we
even-
got there.
Yeah. I mean, how cool
I
is
think
it
Matthew,
to have that?
Matthew was born in '97, the first year I got there, and I was one of the first to actually to hold him to hold Matthew when he was brought into the world. And I was there. I was with Keith for 5 years, and Brady obviously came along, but I remember being in the locker room, and as little as Matthew was, where he can hold a stick and shoot a puck or shoot a tape ball, he was firing them around the locker rooms. And Keith Tkachuk is one of my favorite teammates of all time. He's one of the best leaders I've ever played with. One of the most determined and toughest mentally. And it's no surprise to me that the boys, Matthew and Brady, play the way that they do, are as successful as they are, as respected as they are, and as good leaders as they are, because they just take after their dad without question. And they're very different players.
Yeah.
Matthew plays a lot like Keith does, not very fast, rumbling, stumbling, get to the front of the net, very, very smart, very tough. And Brady is more of a player like me, where he's faster and a little bit more dynamic, but probably tougher than Matthew in terms of the fighting aspect.
He'll still hit you.
Oh yeah. Both of them will go.
Yeah.
Both of them will go. But I think Brady is the little bit of the tougher of the two, where Matthew is more of the mouthpiece. But both of them are phenomenal kids, now adults. And I think single-handedly are changing the way that the game is being played again, the mentality of the game, the toughness of the game, how teams play as a culture. I truly believe that those two are bringing back a little bit more of the old school mentality, which I love to see.
Yeah. No, it's got to be pretty cool. I mean, you're like, wow. I mean, I remember these guys when they were this big, and then they're winning Olympic gold.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And you were an Olympian yourself, so
yeah, they got Olympic gold. I got silver. But it's again, with their dad. But it was an amazing. Again, knowing where I was in 1980, and then seeing the boys put a gold medal on, and seeing their celebration. Them calling me afterwards, on Air Force Two, going up to Washington. They called me, FaceTime me from the plane.
Oh, I mean,
it was
pretty cool.
I cried. Yeah. I literally had tears of happiness, of gratitude, and just of love for a bunch of guys, because they did something, one that I couldn't do.
Yeah.
Their dad and myself, Medano, Tkachuk, Monty, Medano, all these, we got American hockey on the map.
Yeah.
It started in '80.
Yep.
Our generation created a superpower, and their generation pretty much put the cherry on top.
Yep.
And now we get to look for the next generation to really be sparked by what they did in the Olympics. It's really an awesome story.
Yeah, it is really cool. So I wanted to ask you, you're towards the end of your career. You haven't hit your 500, and you got no contract. Mm-hmm. What was that like? What were you going through?
Scary, extremely scary. And I, coming out of the 2004, 2005 lockout, and again, the loss of 2004 on the best team was hard, but I just came over major concussions with a broken jaw in February, 28 places, where my brainstem got moved, and then getting another major concussion in the conference final against Tampa. Major concussions. Kept playing because that's what you did back then.
Yeah. That
whole summer and that whole year that was lockout, I couldn't have played anyway because of post-concussion syndrome. It was really, really bad. So coming out of that, now I'm in a bad state. I go to LA. I don't have I'm kind of still have a grudge, holding a grudge. I don't get ready for camp in LA. I have a trainer who doesn't know how to sharpen skates, and I was very, very picky about how I wanted my skates sharpened, because if you don't feel like you're going to stand up, the first thing that goes is your hands and your confidence. And there's a lot of different things why I was bad in LA, and I made it very, very evident and apparent that I was, and I apologize to Kings fans for having a bad year. I had a good year in Phoenix. The only problem in Phoenix going back there was, I think, Gretz and them, they wanted me to sell tickets. They weren't really expecting to play me at that time because everybody thought I was going on the downslide. And after Phoenix, I'm literally 4 goals shy of 500. And now I'm at my low point, right? Because I didn't take care of myself in the Kings. In Phoenix, I did take care of myself, but the team didn't take care of me. So they actually hurt my value by not playing me. Now I'm 4 goals shy and I'm not getting a call. Like, it's July 1st, which is, free agent day.
And you're JR superstar.
Listen,
Where are the phone calls?
Never had a problem with that, right? Nobody was calling. August 1st, nobody was calling. And so now I'm like thinking my career is done, dive into the alcohol really big, dive into depression, and who knows where I would have gone. And literally nights not coming home, my relationship with my wife and my family just down the toilet, and literally just destroying myself mentally, physically, and overweight. It's just a terrible time. And I don't know if it was my agent or my wife that reached out to Doug Wilson, who was the GM of San Jose, who was my first roommate in Chicago when I first got there. So obviously the relationship was there. And, I've made this a big part of my Hall of Fame speech was, Doug invited me to come out and gave me the opportunity to play for the San Jose Sharks with couple stipulations. Number one, I had to play for the minimum, which is $500,000, which is not a problem for me. Number two, no media unless they ask me to do media.
That's got to be hard.
That's a little bit more of a stinger. That stung a little bit more. And the third condition was no booze. I couldn't drink for the whole year. I had to stay away from it. I had to be at my best. They just wanted me to be a good teammate, good leader, be the grandpa of the team, and do what I could. I actually had a beer in my hand. I dumped it out, shook his hand, scored my 500th goal 2 months later in November against Arizona and Gretz. And I think I scored 15 or 16 goals that year. I had 40 points as a third line, fourth line, second power play guy. Had a great year, and signed one more year with for $1 million with Doug, and finished my career on a really, really high note. And if it wasn't for Doug, first of all, I wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. I wouldn't have scored my 500th goal, and to tell you the truth, I probably wouldn't even be here. And I very much believe that. And sometimes you need your friends. You never know when your friends are going to be there for you, but sometimes, when you most need something, it's your friends that seem to show up for you. And Doug was that guy for me.
So, you had a pretty memorable Starbucks experience.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So talk about that.
Yeah, well, again, when I retired in 2009, and had, obviously, with the exception of the last 3 years in between Philly, 2 years in between Philly and San Jose, I had a really good career. I mean, top 3 in goals in American players, top 3 in points in the history of American players. Obviously, what we did with the international games. Yeah. My as a junior, I held junior point scoring records for 25, 30 years. You think you'd be shoo-in for the Hall of Fame, right? And it's everybody telling you that. Well, the 3 years go by, you're thinking you're getting the call, you don't get the call. 4 years go by, you don't get the call. 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, and now all of a sudden it's like people are like, how come you're not in the Hall of Fame? Why aren't you in the Hall of Fame? Every time I go to Canada, when's the Hall call? And it almost got to be extremely annoying.
Yeah.
It drove me crazy. It frustrated me to no end. I started having a lot of hatred, and I was definitely held a grudge towards the Hall of Fame. And I would make comments to Lanny McDonald whenever I saw him. I'm like, what, am I not your type of guy or what? Yeah. But, and in 2004, I had pretty much forgotten about it. I literally had come to realization it's not going to happen. I'm going to be the Pete Rose of hockey. And
I like you see we're in Cincinnati, so I like you bringing that back.
Yeah. And I changed my life. I changed the way I viewed life. I changed the way the people I surround myself with. I brought Jesus back into my life. I actually brought Jesus into my life, which I never had, and really wanted to live a calm life and a truthful life, a respectful one, and one with a lot of integrity. And I was at peace, and I was calm. And no word of a lie, 4 months later, I'm at a spin class, and I come out of spin class, and there's a Starbucks right there. So I get in my car and order a Starbucks and look at my phone, It has a 416 area code missed call. So I call it back. It says, welcome to the NHL Hall of Fame, or the NHL Hall of Fame and Hockey Hall of Fame. Press 1 for tickets, press 2 for tours. I'm like, what? I'm like, so
like breaking me.
Hold on a second. What's the date? What's the date? Because it's the first time literally in years and years and years where I wasn't like by the phone at the date where they make the announcement. So I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the 25th of June. This is right about Hall of Fame time. So I call, so I hang up, and literally I'm driving around to the window and my phone rings again. And it's Lanny McDonald and Mike Gartner. And they said, Jeremy, remember all those times when you'd ask me if you were ever going to make it to the Hall of Fame? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, today's your day. And I'm like, no, it's not. And I said, no, it's not, probably louder and louder and louder, about 20 times. And then the tears start coming. I literally couldn't breathe. And now I'm here. I got the Starbucks guy holding a coffee out at me, and I'm crying and I'm yelling. I'm like, can't even speak on the phone. And and Lanny's like, that's not like you being at a loss for words, JR. You're always, and they're laughing. And I grab the Starbucks and I get ready. He goes, you gonna pay? And I'm like, I'm totally flustered, and finish my call, pull away, and I pull away from the window and I put the car in park and with the windows up. And I remember letting out like the biggest, loudest scream of enjoyment, of satisfaction, of elation, of I think I yelled, it's about effing time. And, the yes word. And immediately called my wife FaceTime. Yeah. She was on a horse. I got her on FaceTime. She's like, why are you crying? She started crying. Called my son. He started crying. Called my daughter, and my daughter's like, that's no big deal. We knew you were going to make it. I'm like, okay, thanks.
You always love your kids to bring you back down.
Yeah.
Right?
But it was really, really special. And one of the things that I really love about getting that call and getting the call to the hall was I didn't think that it was going to affect me the way that it did. I thought that I had given, I'd pretty much become numb to the feeling of what it would be like, but the emotions that I had when that happened, because I changed a lot in my life, and, to really do great things, put different energy into the universe and treat yourself different with kindness. And all of a sudden, all this graciousness comes to you. And I found that, I was like, wow, this is an awesome feeling. So, they say good things come to those who wait. I believe that more so now because of the way that I was very happy that it hit me the way that it did. And I'm actually now more thankful that it took so long to get there, because I think I appreciate it more.
Yeah. So you mentioned your wife. I mean, you've talked about this before, but family's a big part of your life, and your wife's been a big influence on you, calming influence. I know she's called you out a few times. I mean, just maybe talk about her role, your family's role in your life.
Yeah. Without question, the most important person and figure in my life is my wife.
And high school sweetheart, right?
Yeah, I met her when I was 13.
Yeah,
when amazing. I first got to high school at Thayer Academy. So, myself, her, Tony Monty, and Tony Monty's wife, who he met. That he met at school. Huh. Actually, my wife and Tony's wife, Lori, were baby friends. Families were friends. So we married high school sweethearts. And she is she without a doubt the strongest human that I know on the planet. Not only with morals and values that are beyond any kind of recognition that I ever thought I would understand. Her loyalty and her refusal to allow the elements ruin any kind of family value. Because I screwed up a lot of times. I can't even go into the amount of times where, the screaming, the yelling, the fighting, the hitting, the professional lifestyle is not easy to live with, especially when you have a narcissistic, egomaniac husband like I was. She's like, no, it's not happening that way. And, again, I wouldn't be here without her. And I'm very, very blessed. There's no question. She's like I said, she's my rock. She's the best. She's an amazing mother because both my kids are extremely successful, extremely good people. And that's all attributed to her. She's a pretty amazing woman.
Yeah. Well, I watched your acceptance speech, and you call out all some of your coaches, some of your teammates, but you also call out your wife, which is
I mean, there was no way that my Hall of Fame speech was not going to be cemented with an exclamation point by finishing it on why I was there.
A couple things. I mean, I think of. I mean, we talked about big time score, timely goals. The other thing that I think about, in the hits, of course, but like you're great with the fans.
Mm-hmm.
And also you're just kind of had fun. I mean, goofing around, dancing on the ice, wearing wigs, like just goofing.
Yep.
So like maybe those two elements, where does the kind of because a lot of people won't greet fans, they won't sign. You're not like that. Where did that respect for the fans come from?
I think when I was a kid, and I've told the story of understanding the relationship between fan and a pro athlete or celebrity. I hate the word celebrity, but I guess you have to use it because it's such a prominent word. When I was 7 years old, living in Hartford, Gordie Howe dumped snow on my head while I was watching a Hartford Whalers practice at my local arena. And I thought it was the coolest thing because there are 100 kids that had their head over the glass watching, but Gordie picked me to dump snow and rustled my hair and gave me a wink. And it was for that 30 seconds, it was me and Gordie Howe. And I thought that was like Mr. Hockey. It's that was me. It was just him. He recognized me. And I understand that acknowledgement was an amazing thing. When somebody acknowledges you and has that appreciation to kind of share something with you, I told my family, I told my teachers, I told my friends, and I tell the story. I'm 56 years old, and I still love telling it. But I understood that the feeling that an interaction can make for a young child or for a fan, and I wanted to create that same feeling that I got as much as I possibly could. So I took advantage of it. I was the first player to start throwing pucks to the fans in 1988, and I took heat from the team because their puck budget went way up. But they asked me not to throw pucks to the fans, but I did, and now all the time you see and I can honestly say before 1988 they wouldn't throw pucks in the sand. They'd warm up and they would leave. And I get people coming up. I have grown men coming up to me and saying, I still have the puck that you threw to me in 1988, 1989. It was the greatest thing ever. So to me, the fan was the most important part of a professional aspect, because without fans, there'd be no professional sports.
Yeah.
I always say we'd be a local hockey league with a designated beer guy for, the local arenas. So for me, I always wanted to make sure that they knew I appreciated them, that I thanked them for being there, even the ones that booed me, because listen, they're coming, they're booing, but listen, that they're booing for a reason. It's because I'm doing something that they don't like against their team. But I will always have time for fans. I will never turn away an autograph or a picture, and they're very much appreciated. I just wish that more athletes would be the same. Yeah. Hockey players are good. Other sports maybe aren't as good, but hockey players are pretty good.
They're generally pretty good. Hockey, it's a game, but when you're at your level, it's a profession, it's a business, it's a big business. You always had fun. Where did that kind of come? That having fun, even in kind of stressful.
Everybody I was asked me, and I'm like, you know what I did for a living? I played a game.
Yeah.
I played a game for a living. I played a sport. I was able to play my favorite sport and make a lot of money in it.
Yeah.
I get to play my favorite sport and entertain people and live a life that, very few get to do. And how could you not try to enjoy that? And it becomes a brotherhood in that locker room. You're with brothers. They become your family. And at times it gets really hard. It's very painful. There's a lot of hard times. There's a lot of stress. And if you can't go have fun, I used to put music on and dance in the locker room. I put a disco ball in Philly and turn the lights off and, dance in front of the owner of our team, Mr. Schneider, one night. And it was pretty funny. And actually, Todd Fedoruk, who was our tough guy, was on the base one time when I was singing. And when the lights came up, he saw the owner and he's like, I'm getting traded for sure. I'm getting sent down. I'm like, Fridge, just go out and have a fight. I'll go out and score a goal. We'll win the hockey
Well,
game,
yeah.
and all will be great. Which happened. He got into a fight. He got into a fight the first shift. He was so scared. He fought somebody in the first shift. I had a goal and assist. We won. But if you can't enjoy what you're doing and have fun doing it, but also know when to turn it on and off.
Yeah.
There's a switch.
Yeah.
There's time to be fun, and there's a time to be serious. Yeah. And I always had that ability to turn it on and turn it off. And plus, I loved entertaining people. Me dancing probably made some guys play better because they weren't as nervous going on. Yeah, right. That's true. It becomes a culture, and I love being part of the culture.
All right, let's do a bit of a lightning round. So quickly, who's the best player you ever played against?
Against? Yeah. Mark Messier.
With?
I'd say Chris Chelios.
Best chirper?
Dallas Drake.
Okay. Rule you would change?
Probably the instigator rule. I hate the instigator rule. If we had no instigator rules, there would be no more dummies running around the ice being idiots.
What are you most proud of in your career?
If it's an actual event, it's the 2002 Olympics, silver medal. We became a superpower then, and I was part of that superpower build. But I think in a whole was being able to play through as much adversity and pain that I did, to have the guts and the fortitude to play probably when I shouldn't have, and to play as long and as hard and as well as I did. So I think that's two different things. Those are probably my two things.
That's okay. And then what are you doing now? What are some of the business projects you got going on?
Oh, man. I am an entrepreneur, and it's at its finest, I guess you could say. I got recruited to work for a GC company, national GC company, which is kind of crazy because they wanted me to be the CEO of it. That's Chief Entertainment Officer, that is, to help them find jobs and find deals. And so I became a really good salesman in the construction world as a GC salesman. So that's my one job that I have. I'm very, very fortunate and thankful. And one of the greatest things since the Hall of Fame is being welcomed back into the Blackhawks and being a Blackhawk ambassador, representing them again. And then I own businesses. I own a blockchain company in merchant services blockchain, where I help people make more money in their business by saving them money on their credit card fees, which is going crazy in this world. But I also protect people's data with the safest data movement in the world through blockchain. So I do that, which is awesome technology. I have a whiskey company called Whiskey in the Wild, which is an amazing chocolate and chocolate orange whiskey. Without question, will be the greatest drinking experience you've ever had, especially if you don't like whiskey. I'm into that. I own a golf course in Boston because I'm in the golfing world. I have a little piece of Celebrity Greens, which is the number one golf green, backyard golf green, synthetic golf green builder in the world. That's a great company to be a part of. So kind of have my hands and dabble in a lot of different things. Plus, my personal life, which is a lot of philanthropic, a lot of, raising money for charity is very important to me. But, going playing in hockey tournaments and doing speaking engagements and doing motivational speeches has been a lot of fun for me.
And you're here helping our charity. So thank you. Thank you very much. Quick question. I asked you best hockey players. Any best golfers that you played with? I mean, I've played with a lot of them. Phil Mickelson is he's probably one of the most talented players I've ever played with. I played with John Daly. He was a trip. I played with Tiger. He was a trip. I played with Lee Trevino back in the Western Open in Chicago back in the day. And it was a funny story because it was the first time I ever played in a pro-am. And so a celebrity got teamed up with a PGA player. And when I got to the range, and this is a pro tournament, the range had brand new Pro V Titleists on the range. I'm like, oh my God, I'm telling my caddy, oh my God, look, they're brand new Pro Vs, right? I'm like, these are awesome. So we get to the 12th hole, and I hit a ball. It's a par 3. I hit it over the green, and we can't find it. It's in the high rough. And all of a sudden, Lee Trevino says, anybody playing a practice ball? Oh, shit. Because all the balls had practice on it. And I looked at my caddy. He's like, I took a bunch and I gave you one of the practice balls on the tee. And it was so embarrassing that I now I have to admit that I stole some of the practice. I didn't, but my caddy did. It looked like me, though. I took some of the practice balls, and Lee Trevino called me out. But I've played with a
I mean, whether it's Freddie Couples and Andrew McGee, I've played with pretty much, a slew of them that are pretty awesome.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you again.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
If you are interested in more information on FEG, check out our website at www.feg.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our communications so you don't miss the next episode. Please keep in mind that this information is intended to be general education that needs to be framed within the unique risk and return objectives of each client. Therefore, nobody should consider these to be FEG recommendations. This podcast was prepared by FEG. Neither the information nor any opinion expressed in this podcast constitutes an offer or an invitation to make an offer to buy or sell any securities. The views and opinions expressed by guest speakers are solely their own and do not necessarily represent the views or opinions of their firm or of FEG.